So Chewy is a program manager with the partner incubation team for Viva Engineering, and he's going to go ahead and get us started today. So welcome, Chewy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I apologize for the lighting. I don't think Microsoft paid their bills, so I have to stick with this crazy little lamp in this office. I can't get the stuff to work, so this technical difficulty we'll all deal with here, all right? So I would love to walk you through a thing that we've been spending some time thinking about. You've all heard about Viva, and Microsoft is presenting Viva kind of as a main dish. You go here, and Viva is your platform for employee experience. But as I work with certain types of customers, especially customers who use Viva deeply, you start to realize that Viva might not necessarily be the main dish, but a supporting dish to a couple of things. So I would love to walk you through some of the things that we've been thinking about, and I would love to get your input. And if any of you guys are working in this space about using Viva as a side dish, Marcus and I would love to make a connection with you, hear more about your stories, and kind of see some of the challenges you guys are going through using Viva as a side dish. So a little bit about myself, Chewy Chong. I have been at Microsoft for like 15-something years, 16-something years. I took a break in the middle, so I'm old. I used to work up in Chicago. I think it was in Chicago, right? My very first project was up in Northbrook, Illinois. One of Microsoft's very first .NET projects was with a financial firm up there. So I love Chicago. I hope you guys are in Chicago. Otherwise, I'm screwing this up here. The thing that I've been working on today is something called partner incubation. All I do is I work with top-notch firms like our folks from Valorum to kind of think through what are some of the advanced things that we can do with our tech. And we use those types of insights to help us, make better products. You know, I don't want to hear about all the great things that's being done. I like to hear about all the things and gaps that we're missing. So, it's kind of a interesting work to work with advanced partners to try to figure out how can we use the technology in alternative ways or more impactful ways. I do a lot of this feedback work for our engineering partners. I literally work on the first floor of the building where Insights is sitting. I believe the engaged people are over there somewhere. It's a big open space, and we're all moving everybody in as part of this consolidation of this return to work thing here. All right, so let me show you the agenda for today. I'm just going to walk through just some few things about what Viva is being used for today. What's the main dish kind of approach to how Viva is being used. Then I want to talk to you about how I believe Viva is more of a side dish to support any type of transformations occurring with your company. And I'll walk you through an example. And at the very end, I'm share with you my contact details, and you folks can see Marcus there, probably sitting in front row. Just ping him, grab him to give me or him feedback if you are planning to use Viva as a side dish, okay? All right, so let's recap kind of like how Viva is used today. What is the main dish of Viva? You've seen this slide before. I'll just go through very quickly. If you're trying to get employees to connect, right, we've got this connection set of modules of technology that can help you do things. If you want to understand what's going on with your employees, how they're engaging, how they are collaborating, feedback about how your work is progressing, you use the Insight set of tools. If you want to go through and set goals, if you want to go through and just do quick pulse checks, you do the growth suite of tools we've got. And if you want to understand purpose, you want to find people, you want to learn things, then you've got the purpose set of tools. So that's the main dish. But if we step back and we think for a second, what are we here to do? We don't wake up wanting to go do technology. Well, the nerds here at Microsoft probably do wake up wanting to do technology, but everybody else that's normal wake up because they want to accomplish something. There's a business outcome, a cultural outcome, a customer outcome you want to get done. And technology just simply plays a role in supporting that. So if you think about it from a transformation perspective, a change perspective, the McKinsey data that I have shown here, this was a couple years ago. It's actually pretty fascinating. It's about how 70% of all large-scale transformation fails. And McKinsey actually breaks it down to what they believe are the key things that's causing these type of failures. So if you look at the first part right there, about how the CEO doesn't actually set the right expectations, or the CEO doesn't communicate this out well, or set out a really good type of narrative, That falls underneath purpose and connection. These are tools that can be used to help the leadership team crystallize what the outcomes are and provide that outcome and accountability kind of agreement out to all of us to know what we're trying to work towards. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, you see more about how hey, people don't have the skill set, or there's not enough resources, or it's just not happening. We don't see that collaboration occurring. That falls under growth and insight. These are obvious things when you and I are standing on the outside looking at transformation, but when you're inside the company and you're trying to figure out how to go through and make things work, well, that becomes hard. So how can Viva be used to support these large-scale transformation that your company is going through? So as I go to my next slide, what are some of the big transformation that I'm hearing? Again, remember, this is my perspective, not a Microsoft official position, right? But what are some of the big things that we're seeing right now where people are using Viva to kind of help with transformation? One thing I hear a lot about is like clinician well-being. These frontline workers are very important to kind of how all this works, or to how the economy works. So there's a lot of people thinking about clinician well-being. This is another very funny thing. I hear a lot of people give me feedback about, hey, you know what? My staff thinks they're in meetings all the time. Oh crap, I'm in meetings all the time too. Every 5 minutes I got somewhere, it's either eating lunch or raising a PO. That's all I do, right? So that culture about where everyone's in meetings, there's this fear of missing out. If I'm on this meeting, something might be assigned to me, or someone might ask a question. I'm not there to actually provide perspective. How do we go through and address those type of issues? Because it really hurts productivity, right? Other things we hear a lot about that ties into kind of well-being is around like career mobility. I want to go through and ensure that my career progresses. I want to make sure I have growth. I want to feel that I am actually contributing to business, so there's a future for me here. The well-being part and retention piece play a role in all that stuff, right? Because people keep thinking it's all about pay, but it's not. It's really about feeling that I am making progress, I'm making an impact. And then sometimes you just have to call it out. It's like, hey, look, what do you want to get accomplished? How do I get you to stay here? How do I make you be happy? How do we create that conversation with people to understand what the needs are so the company can do things about it without you churning out or having to pay everybody much, much more money, but not address some of the systemic issues, right? These are the things I've been hearing a lot from customers. And what's great is that the Viva suite of tools, again, I'm not trying to fixate on the technology piece, right? Even though I do work at a tech company. But the key thing here is you care about that, and the technology is there to support these transitions, to help you navigate, get information, to create that feedback loop where action and reaction can be observed. So I want to give more details about the M&A space. It turns out M&A is pretty hot. Well, at least a year ago it was pretty hot since I was spending a lot of time working on this. I'm going to walk you through a example M&A thing that we did with a customer. And again, I didn't lead this conversation. One of our partners did do this work, and I would love to kind of see how this resonates with you folks. And if you guys are doing something similar in a different space, let me know. All right, so I am going to my next slide. Mergers and acquisitions are complicated, and mergers and acquisitions can either be a good thing, but most of the time it's not necessarily a great thing. So this chart basically shows that, hey, whether or not you're doing a big merger and acquisition like a company and another company getting together, or it might just be my team being integrated with another team. The reality is some acquisitions and mergers actually go great, and then people are collaborating and healthy and efficient very, very quickly. But there's also collaborations and integration, mergers and acquisitions where it doesn't go well. Things do not connect well. You bring people in and they're just sitting there by themselves. So that particular chart just shows you there's a huge spectrum of it. There's no guarantees. All right, so next slide. This is kind of what we were toying with. We've kind of been thinking it through. The first thing about any type of merger and acquisition is clarity. Why did this occur? Whether or not you're acquiring a company or whether or not you're joining forces with a peer team, sister team, brother team, whatever, what is the outcome? Why are we doing this? Clearly calling that out and then articulating to the people so they understand why this has occurred is a very important first step. And then who's accountable? Right? Like right now, I'm going through change in a sense that we have all our staff coming into one place in the Microsoft kind of headquarters down in Redmond. It's a time where people aren't certain what this new open office or everybody return to work culture is like. Well, who's responsible for culture? Who's responsible for having that conversation? Where's that safe space to have that conversation? So agreeing about what the outcome is, who's accountable, communicating out and allowing people to communicate is that first row that I called out right there. Things like goals, engage, amplify, and connection can all help out with that particular first step of this engagement. All right, the second two pieces of that particular slide is a bit of a loop. I am a big experimentation nerd. I love to do something and I want to see what the hell happened so I can go back and tweak what I did. So that loop needs to be established. First thing we do is, where the hell are we at? Are people connected today? Do people understand what the objectives are? How do they feel? Insights, pulse, those are all great ways to go through and get that data. So great, we now have a baseline. Now that we're going to start that merger and acquisition process or whatever, right? Partnering up with a pure team, it doesn't matter. Now let's think about things we can do to try to improve that. Maybe we can do more lunches. Maybe we can create a new team space where people can collaborate. Maybe we get them all to sit physically together now in this building. Whatever it might be. Go through, you do these interventions, and Viva, again, provides you a bunch of tools to help support those type of interventions, whether that's connections, learning, it's engages topics. That are all things you can do to try to make that combination of two groups better. Great, I did that work. Well, did it make any improvements? We loop back up to that second line, which is where we're at. We'll get insight, we'll get pulse, and we just keep doing that and just keep looping and looping and looping. And then hopefully by learning and tweaking and learning and tweaking, you start going in a great direction where you have the teams working together. All right, you guys can see I wear glasses, I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm gonna show you some nerdy stuff here. Viva Insights does all kinds of cool stuff. So if you are not a O&A nut, organization network analysis nut, I mean, don't worry about this. Get the folks from Valorum, grab me, grab Viva Insights. There's some really interesting off-label uses of our technology that can help your organization better understand and visualize how your teams are collaborating. I really wish I can show you the Microsoft internal one. I saw what our little dot and line chart looked like for our organization. And what's really interesting is you see all these dots, and you see this dingleberry kind of hanging off. Okay, I shouldn't say dingleberry. We see this group of people kind of hanging off here on the side, right? And it's like, what the hell is that group? So, we were all guessing, could that be HR? Could that be a corporate headquarters, like the legal team? Like, who do we not talk to every single day? And when we actually went deeper to look at that little cluster of people, we realized it's actually LinkedIn. I see, Microsoft, LinkedIn, we joined forces. But the two groups are not collaborating, but maybe that's okay. Well, first of all, no one ever told me what the reason was behind us grouping together. I mean, I know it's kind of obvious, but like, is that okay? These two groups being separate little orbs, right? There's some interaction, but not a lot. I don't know. But the key point is your leadership team, the people who actually fostered that connection, they should see that that's occurring. And then they can decide whether or not additional interventions need to occur. Insights provide you really great ways to visualize this, to see how people are interacting. You can even get deeper into specific groups or roles, which I'm going to go to my next slide here. You can even break it down by specific groups, like the PM team, or the leadership team, or the designer team, the engineering team, like which teams are doing well, which teams are not doing well. If the data is there, then you might be able to use some of that data as a way to gauge whether or not the merger and acquisition is going well, or the joining of forces are going well. These are all examples. Again, I can talk forever on this. I only got 30 seconds left, but I just wanted you guys to know that there's a lot of really interesting things you can use where Viva isn't necessarily the main dish, but a side dish to support whatever type of transformation your organization is going through. Okay, with that, my details are here on the slide. I'm the only Chewy in the company. It's actually pretty easy to find me, right? And don't mix me up with Chewy.com. That's typically a mistake, right? Which is a dog toys a company. And grab me or grab Marcus, and we are more than happy to talk more. And I want to hear about your stories. If you're doing this stuff, tell me what's going on. Hey, tell me what doesn't work. I want to make our products better.